Welcome to the Bitcoin Business Podcast put on by Sovereign. I'm your host, Brandon Karpeles. Today I have with me Josh from Sats for Snacks, another gentleman I found on Nostr who is using Nostr and Bitcoin to sell stuff that they are making themselves, putting in the proof of work, and demanding the best money out there for it. And I love talking to the people I meet on Nostr that are using Bitcoin, that they're always simpatico with how I view the world, how us as Bitcoiners should view things. And they just said, hey, I'm going to start something. I'm going to do it. I'm going to use open source technology for my payment rails and for my coordination of economic activity. And so, Josh, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on and being willing to talk about what you're doing here.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. This is fantastic. I've listened to a few of your episodes, and with Great Gee and Oshi, and yeah,
But my favorite
I'm
interviews. So,
well. Good. I picked the right ones then, I guess.
yeah.
I'll listen to more. It's a matter of time, obviously, as you know. But yeah, those two guys, they seem to be killing it, and like you said, just using Nostr and Bitcoin, and I think that it's a match made in heaven, really.
It's perfect. It's exactly what we want. The free ability to coordinate economic trade, both via the communications layer and then via the payment layer. There's not much else you need. Now you have the physical layer where you're actually shipping products and you're kind of reliant on the actual shipping companies for that. And maybe that's the fiat world. But listen, those are businesses that are going to exist forever, as long as we're not in the Elon Musk pod and whatever classes alternative reality that he's trying to get us in. But until then, we're going to have physical delivery of physical goods, and we need all that stuff too. And I don't really even consider that a single point of failure. There's plenty of competition there. It's not like your local ISP where there's a monopoly and you're forced to use them, and that's a central point. You can use FedEx, you can use UPS, you can use in the United States, you can actually send it through our wonderful postal service. So there are some options there to help diffuse sort of that risk part of the equation. But
It is
um, yeah,
the I'm up in Canada, and that has been the biggest pain point. I mean, I think that if maybe shipping would be much easier if we were in the metaverse, but I'm not going to spend my time there because I've got other things to do. And but the shipping to the states, especially now with the um, tariffs, and the Canada Post is shut down. The Canada Post workers are the union is on strike, and so that has been the biggest pain point for me. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately because it's exactly like you said. The the payment is fantastic. I use BTC Pay Server, and it's been flawless. The communication layer is fantastic, and then you get to the actual fiat part of the equation, and it breaks down for here. I mean, it's 35% tariffs to ship down to the states, and that seems to be where the most interest is. And so I'm going to try to reach out a little further internationally, and I know that there's some folks down in Costa Rica, for instance, and I think it would probably be cheaper for me to ship to these Latin American countries, maybe South America, Lithuania, who knows? I mean, with the way that it is now, and so it is that fiat hurdle of shipping, but in permaculture, there is the idea of the problem is the solution, and so perhaps having that bottleneck of shipping to the states is is forcing other people to expand into more of a global market. Even if it costs as much to ship to Albania as it does to the United States, then maybe that's the market you need to be looking to get into.
Well, I mean, that's such a good point. The international aspect. I wasn't, I was talking more domestically, but you're exactly right. Internationally, that is a huge bottleneck. And we were just out in Italy, and you know, getting the wine shipped back to the U.S. It used to be kind of a seamless situation. Now there's all these tariffs added on top, and they have to charge. They're sitting there going, "Oh, we'll take care of all the tariffs." And it's like I see the price of this bottle of wine. I know it was 20 euro less, 9 months ago, and I mean, I tariffs are just the most retarded thing on the. It's just so ridiculous. Like, I mean, we print money at will to like fund everything, and now we're just making global trade harder. I mean, anyone who to me, there's just absolutely no justification for tariffs. I just don't care. Like, it's so preposterous. If the U.S. manufacturers can't make better products, then if they can't make a better car than Japan, then guess what? We need to start making better cars. We don't need to punish exporters from other country. We need to get our shit together and start making better stuff. Like the whole premise of protectionism is just it's a retardant to economic progress, and it's just example number 8,000 of fiat land of trying to insulate interests and those with connections to the political class, to the money printer, just having another advantage over people actually trying to make things and provide better value. So,
It's just another form of tax, and I
yeah.
mean, I'm sure that most of the people that are listening to this podcast, and I'm sure that that you fully understand that is the means of control, is the just like you said, taxing. You throw another tax on, but you just print money, but you're going to take this taxes, which is already been taxed threefold before you even get it, and then the inflation has taken it to where it's the people that touch the money first, who print it, are the only ones that are actually making any money, because by the time it gets to the plebs like us, it's been inflated to a point of I mean, near non-existence. And with the tariffs, like you said, why, if you make a better product, it's anti-capitalism in a way, to where you're closing down the market. And I know the United States was.
You're hindering it at the least.
Yeah, absolutely. And United
Yeah.
States was always a sovereign nation until World War One, and it was that you guys do your thing and we'll do ours. And then once they started going, wait a minute, you know what? There's a lot of money in wars, and maybe we should expand this the United States across the world. And so now it almost feels like that retraction is inevitable. Does it start with tariffs, and then is that kind of the first of the decline of the American empire? Does that
I
make
mean,
sense? Is that
yeah, of course, absolutely. I mean, the decline of the American empire, I also think will take a concerted effort. I think it's going to have to be uh, people. Well, let me rephrase it. I think the people in charge are going to be put to a decision regardless. Like, they're just not going to be able to compete globally. We're already seeing it in the United States here. Like, these cities that have onerous regulations for taxes that don't take care of the homeless problem, that it just throw a bunch of money at education systems that don't forget indoctrinate. They don't even indoctrinate. They're like a 4 out of 10 rated daycare. Like, I mean, they're so pathetic, and they're not even brainwashing people. They're just like moving bodies around. I mean, it's so crazy. So in those systems, people are already leaving those. People are moving out of those, or if people are staying there, they're doing their own homeschooling. They are, finding their their own community to interact with. They're forming insular groups within these locations, anyways. They're already sort of stepping out of the madness, And not to mention the people that are fleeing these areas for places that treat them better, that want businesses to start up, that want taxes to be low, that uh, actually encourage economic activity. And it's already happening. Like these places are already losing, and so you have this economic forcing function of you're either going to adapt to this, or we're just in like Sodom and Gomorrah territory at that point, and like Gotham type scenario. Like eh, that's where things are going to head, and then the people in charge are going to have to say, okay, either we're going to adapt or we're going to die, and it's going to be forced upon them whether they like it or not. The question is, will that be recognized? How quickly and how much pain is going to be inflicted upon society as we go through that transformation? Because you just can't control a digital economy you know with all these insane regulations, because people are going to move to where they're treated better. And yeah, to your point, who suffers? Me. I have to pay 35% more for your product. I mean, what's the benefit of that? It's like, okay, well, now I'm not buying that product. Or maybe I choose not to buy that product because it's priced higher than I wanted to. And now you get 0% of the purchase, instead of, if you were, less greedy, you could have gotten something. So I I do think we're going to get into a situation where it's just going to be forced upon these nations, but it's just a question of how much pain are we going to have to endure?
Oh, it'll be painful. I don't. Have you ever read The Creature from Jekyll Island?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and I mean,
yeah,
the end of that book is the probably the most realistic scenario, just to where it has to crumble before. I mean, it's build back better, right? But hopefully
yeah.
in not the manner that Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum are looking. Hopefully, it's a build back better from the bottom up and not from the top down. And this kind of brings back to these open protocols and being able to communicate without that censorship. And I know that, in Nostr in particular, I'm Nostr only at this point,
As well.
and yeah, I know that it has issues, and it's growing incredibly fast. Like all of this technology is it's mind numbing sometimes, just how quickly it is moving, and it's fantastic because there's it is almost that parallel systems of you've got the global elites, we'll call them, creating this AI juggernaut, which is there to suck up all your information. And like you said, maybe the schools are so inept that they can't even brainwash properly anymore. And so maybe they're moving that over to this AI technology to take over the inept schools. And then there's us over here that are working towards these self-controlled open source open communication protocols. And is it that race that we're going for? And we need those open source projects to flourish. And I don't even like there seems to be a lot of people who and with Bitcoin as well, who are kind of looking for that instant gratification microwave society of, man, I Nostr, there's nothing going on, or Bitcoin, oh, it's not being used anywhere. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Like those people can stay over in their fiat world of AI and manipulation and mind control and the mass media and everything else. And the people that actually understand and want to work towards a free society. I mean, if that's possible anymore, but I'm okay with this small group of people. I don't need, or I don't necessarily want the rest of the world even to be involved if they don't understand. We don't have the time to hold everybody's hand all the way through the system to bring them to an understanding. I mean, that might sound a bit callous, and I'm not wishing ill upon anybody.
Well, no, I mean it's been the example's been given many times, but it really is like Galt's Gulch. You enter into this other world. It's a parallel system. You're creating stuff, and it's like I can't. Okay, we're in Galt's Gulch. We're building this. And it's kind of a utopian idea. I just hate the word utopia, but this better society, if you will, this better set of incentives and structures and institutions, and you can't you can't just pull people in there. People have to be uh, you know of a certain makeup and of a certain character to be in there. And that's not to say that everyone can't get there and everyone has the capability of doing it and everyone has that within them as a human being. We all have that ability. It's just, do we want to take that responsibility? Do we want to, there's a lot of people that like their cage. They enjoy um getting on getting getting in their car, going to sit in traffic, getting their nice morning coffee that the company pays for, sitting at their computer for 8 hours, getting their paycheck, going home, watching the game or watching whatever show on Netflix, and knowing that hey, well, I'm not going to do that much with my life, but I'm going to be I'm comfortable. And there's a lot of people who really value comfort over opportunity or exploration or building. And so there is just a significant portion of society that's going to fall into that camp, and it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you do. They're just always going to be that cohort of people. So
Well, as long as we are continuing along this path, then I'm happy. We had talked before we started recording about podcasting a bit, and I think that is another avenue along this open source trajectory, and so I mean I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate everyone who is podcasting and trying to decentralize communication. And I'd mentioned that I had started a podcast about starting a podcast, which I know is very meta.
a
But that,
Seinfeld episode or something.
yeah, yeah. But just the reason I bring that up is because another point of failure or centralization is data storage. And I know that maybe Nostr can solve that eventually, but the way that I'm hosting my podcast is through IPFS podcasting, and so another way to make all of what we're talking about accessible to everyone is eliminating pain points and costs, and I think that's another part that is an issue for people to get started. I mean, whether it's Bitcoin is $150,000 Canadian per coin, I can't afford to get in; it's too late. Or whether it's paying $20 a month to host a podcast, or it's paying whatever it is for X to have your check mark, or I don't know if they do that anymore or what that is all about, but
I think they definitely do it. I'm
yeah.
sure they do. Yeah. So
And so to have as many options for um, free or very low cost, and that's kind of the point of the podcast that I was making, is figuring out how to use open source software and hosting outside of the the main podcast hosting companies.
The Bugle guys talk about this all the time, right? And I know people think it's a joke. I mean, they think 40 hours a week of podcasting, and Rod and Richard are always harping on starting a Bitcoin podcast, but they're dead serious. That is that is not ironic, sardonic commentary. That's serious. I mean, and I had Richard on this show. We talked about it for quite a length of time. that that is part of the parallel world. That is part of the Galt's Gulch that we're talking about. Is listening to Bitcoin podcast, creating Bitcoin podcast. You're stepping into a different world, and people don't realize that. But like, so much of our life today is consumed by screens and by content and by information just pummeling you all day. Whether you're reading an internet article, whether you're watching a video, I mean, even just walking around a city, you're just pummeled with interactive ads, and it's just nonstop. And that's a lot of, 99% of that stuff is fiat land stuff. Not that there's not good content or lessons or things you can take out of fiat created projects, that sort of thing. But when you step into a Bitcoin podcast, you're stepping into a different world of information, like this psychological um, pummeling that you take in fiat land is has gone away. Like, you're freeing your brain from sort of the psychological operations, the the morphine drip, if you will, of all things fiat, state control, that sort of thing. So, like, you actually are stepping into a different world to consume, and people don't really think about it that way, but it's absolutely true. And you are you're taking time out of your day to exit the matrix for a little bit and start consuming content in a different manner.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I discovered podcasting probably 2009, 2008, and every podcast I listen to is at least 3x speed, and I'm just crushing podcasts left and right. And do I retain all of it? No, but it's kind of my sweet spot for absorbing as much as I can and retaining the parts that I need to or that I want to. And so that 40 hours is, yeah, I definitely put that in. But then there's also, there's so many options for anybody to be able to do it. And like, for instance, I record using Audacity, but a person could record on a phone or any sort of cheap hardware. And Audacity is open source and it's a fantastic product. And then, you're running Linux, which is a free open source operating system. Um, and then just yeah, editing it in Audacity. And all you need to do is be able to put that file up somewhere. Like, I have a P Cloud account that I paid for it's a one time purchase, but you could have a free Gmail account, for instance, and put that file up in a public directory. And then IPFS podcasting, which is run by this dude Cameron, who is awesome and can help with whatever you need help with. But and so then IPFS podcasting, it generates a new RSS feed. And so that's the one that you make public. And now all it does is it takes that down to different nodes. So if you want to host a certain podcast, like your podcast, for instance, you could heart that podcast, and then your node would be hosting the files from there. And now that Gmail file or the Google Drive file could disappear, and you're now completely onto the international or interplanetary file system. And it's free hosting is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's so cool, like the potential of all this stuff to be built out, and it will be. And to your point, you were talking about earlier, just how fast all this stuff is moving. I mean, I remember signing up for Nostr in 2022. You had to host your own photo somewhere and then link to it, and it was hard to set up a profile. It was not easy, and it's just it's come so far in such a short amount of time. But I do want to get back to the podcasting thing, but we're like 25 minutes in this pod. We haven't even talked about your business and what you're doing. So uh, the reason I wanted to have you on, Sats for the number four snacks .com is the website. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into Bitcoin, and then why this was your business that you wanted to start selling stuff for Bitcoin, or was it the other way around? You already had this business, you were kind of doing this, and then you got into Bitcoin after.
No, this was Bitcoin. I mean, everybody seems to remember their origin and the first Bitcoin they purchased. I don't. It was definitely not that long ago. I think 2020, maybe 2021. Um, and I can't remember exactly, but it was also around podcasting, um, with the podcasting 2.0, and that really got me more interested in how Bitcoin was working and how it could be peer to peer, and how there's a podcast and I can just send them sats and it goes directly to their wallet and that's it. And so I think that was a catalyst for really looking into it deeper. And then I've taken, I never made it through any university. I tried a couple times and then figured out that I don't know if my brain is just more fractal than what a university is capable of educating. Um, but I've gone through and taken, I've got I took a dive master course and, gone through the scuba diving like that. And I've taken a permaculture design course and a, um, a web development boot camp and stuff like, so, like these smaller pieces of education that fit together into whatever's inside my head now. And part of that was the permaculture and realizing, okay, we need to start growing and preserving food. And that's when we bought a freeze dryer a few years ago, and then just started freeze drying fruits and meals and stuff, and everybody loved it. And it was one of those things like, oh, I need to start selling this because there's a market and it's fantastic, and there's not a single, and just watching people's expression when they first taste it. And so I dragged my feet for a while, and then kind of just it clicked with Nostr, and realized, okay, I don't need to go the traditional route of, well, at this point, hopefully I'd never have to, but going around and hawking wares to local stores or whomever, going to farmers markets, which are awesome, but I've put time behind tables at craft fairs and farmers markets and stuff like that, and that's just not where I want to be most of the time. I mean, I'd like to go to farmers markets, but not necessarily selling at farmers markets. Um, and then yeah, and so then it's basically like everyone else says, you just have to go get started. Um, Oshi kind of kicked me in the butt, which was helpful.
Many such
And
cases.
what's that?
Many such cases of Oshi kicking someone in the butt.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's fantastic. And then it's just such a, I don't know, it's a great feeling. It's not like selling anywhere else. It's not like, it's just it's a community of people who understand what you're trying to do and are very willing to help. And if there is a problem with shipping or anything like that, everybody seems to be understanding, and there hasn't been any real problems, but everyone is just, I don't know, so happy to be able to spend sats on products and to kind of jumpstart this circular economy. And also another.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was just
Hey,
gonna say I love spending sats more than anything. It's so great. Anyways, sorry.
oh no, that's all right. And then also the Bitcoin and podcast with David Bennett, and he,
Man,
what's that?
he's the man.
Yeah, no, he's great. And so he started the Circle P, which was him basically doing advertising on his podcast in a value for value manner, which also fits in to everything we've been talking about, just a value for value model. And so that is just another aspect of being able to perpetuate what we're doing with selling products for Bitcoin. So yeah, check out the Bitcoin and podcast as well.
Yeah, at Nunya business on Nostr as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Great follow, great guy. All sorts of good permaculture stuff, and yeah, the pod's great as well. So how did you were you growing your own fruit? Did you just have fruit from farmers markets that you're like, I'm gonna try? Because I back in the day, I still do a lot of barbecuing, a ton of smoking, and I made just one time. I just randomly made some candied bacon. I just kind of concocted a rub. I put it on there. I did the smoking, and then I took it off, and I was like, all right, people try this, and people were like, this is the greatest thing I've ever tasted. This is unbelievable. I actually sold it to some local restaurants. Some people I was talking potentially about making my rub. Through a wholesaler, and ultimately decided that I didn't want it to become my job because I thought I would. I really appreciated the sort of closeness and the camaraderie of sharing it with other people, and I just didn't want it to become. I was worried it was going to become a job, and then I was going to hate it, and I didn't want that to happen. I don't know if I would think the same today. But anyways, that ship has sailed. But I just bring that up because I just totally stumbled into it and then got an incredible. Uh, I got incredible feedback from everyone that it was just amazing. So I'm curious how you came to this. I know you said you got some good feedback, but how it all started.
Basically, my motto is, and certainly was, if it fits inside, it gets freeze dried. So, I mean, it is everything. Most things work out, some things didn't work out, but and as far as the food goes, we're still building out our farm. So we've got immature apple trees. So I've definitely, we got some apples this year, which I did. We've got a lot of tomatoes and things like that. We can't, as far as the tropical fruits, I mean, we can't grow here. I'm on Vancouver Island, and we're not growing mangoes, so I've been getting organic frozen mangoes and chopping those up and things like that. Um, but yeah, it's the idea would be to eventually have all of our own or locally sourced, and I've been working on that, which isn't as easy as I'd hoped for. And then onboarding other local farmers onto Bitcoin and hopefully get that economy going as well. Imported a bunch of got a bunch of Okanagan peaches to freeze dry, and I mean I've got one small freeze dryer and three big freezers full of stuff ready to go into it because it's definitely not dehydrating. Like it's a usually about a 36-hour process of or
Yeah, and so
cycle.
how do you forgive my ignorance? So how do you ship it with dry ice, or it just once
No,
you
no, no,
freeze
no.
dry it,
It's a
then it's good, or yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
shelf stable. I mean, it's
Okay, yeah.
freeze drying is probably the best method for preserving food to create a shelf stable product. Most most products will be at least a 25-year shelf life.
Oh
Once you
wow.
start getting into like fatty meats and stuff like that, they can go rancid after 5 years. But I mean, I could tell you about the freeze drying process if you want, because
Yeah,
it's actually
please.
quite a, it's a,
Educate me. I'm an ignoramus when it comes to this. So tell me about it.
uh, yeah, as was I until I got one. But there's a bit of a flashback to high school science or chemistry. Maybe if I don't know if they teach those subjects anymore.
I,
Um,
I had I had chemistry class. I remember lighting some stuff on fire and
yeah, right.
memorizing the periodic table and all that. So,
Bunsen burners.
oh yeah, Erlenmeyer flasks.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
So the freeze dryer itself is it's a quite a hefty piece of equipment. Um, and then it has it's a chamber basically with a big thick plastic door, like an inch thick plastic door, and so that connects to a vacuum pump. And what I do is pre-freeze everything that goes into it, or whenever I can, and that cuts down the cycle time a little bit because once you put the food in, shut it up, it freezes it down to -10 Fahrenheit, and then the vacuum pump kicks in, and then it vacuum freezes it until I think -20, somewhere down in that range. And then what it does is it starts to slowly heat it up under that pressure or in that vacuum. And so it turns the water from a solid to a gas and skips. So that's your chemistry.
Is that
Uh,
sublimation
nice,
or
awesome, good one. I wouldn't have
yeah?
got that before. No, no chance.
I might be wrong. I I
No,
I
that's
can't
right.
remember. Okay,
That's
okay.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
So it uses sublimation, and so instead of a regular dehydrator uses heat to remove liquids, and with the sublimation, you're going said from that solid state to a gas, and without the heat, it's preserving 95 to 98% of all the nutrients and flavors, but I think that everything that comes out of it tastes better than when it went in, especially fruits. Because my theory, I mean, I'm full of theories. So one of my theories is that the water inside of, say, a peach, all that water is doing is diluting the true flavor, and so you remove the water, and now you've got 100% peach flavor.
What about this theory too? I mean, I don't know where you stand on this, but to me, fruit's got to be eaten cold. My wife likes warm fruit, and I think she's absolutely insane. It's like her one psychopathic. I'm like, eating a peach out of the fridge and eating a peach that's been on the counter, like the one out of the fridge, just tastes a hundred
Mm.
times better. And I don't know why it is. I don't know what it just tastes so much better. It tastes sweeter, it tastes richer. Obviously, it's crisper because it's cold, it's harder. So I like mushy fruit. I mean, so I don't know if there's an element there as well, but it does get back to room temperature. So I'm not sure if that would make sense in this case. But
What about a peach cobbler? That's pretty warm.
well, that's different. That's like peach pie. I actually made a peach pie recently. My in-laws have a peach tree, so that's something you can add. I'm in Chicago, so not exactly the most friendly winters, but they get peach harvests
Mm.
at the end of autumn up here, so you could probably add that one to your orchard.
Yeah,
But
we've got a peach tree that did decent. It was only the second year that it's been in the ground, but
okay,
uh,
yeah, so it should get better.
oh, absolutely. And then with I took the permaculture course a few 3 years ago, maybe, and so now I'm starting to implement the knowledge from from that, and so I'm really expecting much better yields coming forward. But the to go back to the taste or the
Yeah.
texture of freeze dried fruit is also pretty amazing. Just it's like candy. I mean, it's crunchy, and most people that's what they say. Like this tastes like candy, but it's all 100% fruit. Like there's no sugar added or anything. It's just
Well, that's a
nature's
huge
candy.
someone who I stopped eating sugar many years ago. Had all sorts of health issues, and I've talked about that ad nauseum on this podcast, so I won't go into it anymore. But um, we've lost such an appreciation for actual natural sweetness. Like someone like me who has cut sugar out of my diet pretty much completely. When I eat a peach or an apple, I'm like, this is sweet. This is like, and then we're just cramming sugar and a high fructose corn syrup and like all this. It's like, gosh, we don't need this. Like we nature gave us this natural sweetness for us, like that. Most people were supposed to eat sort of at the end of summer, going into winter, like sort of the natural cycle of calorie storage and all this stuff. And it drives me crazy that basically we've been given all we need in terms of sweetness, fructose, like natural fructose, and yet we gotta just dump as much sugar and corn syrup as we can into stuff. It drives me absolutely mad. And then you go over to places like Europe or other countries, and my mother-in-law is Polish, and she makes these incredible desserts, and she uses plum and strawberry, and it's just the natural sweetness of the fruit. She's not adding sugar to the recipe or anything, and it just, in my opinion, it just tastes so much better than with all that added junk in it anyways. So
Well, that's the I mean, it all seems to circle back around to the realm of fiat, and I mean, I don't know if there's anything that exemplifies fiat better than high fructose corn syrup, right?
no,
And just the subsidy of corns and other crops in general, and then whatever types of tax breaks and again the subsidization of using these absolute garbage products instead of natural sugars. But I mean, our society lives on boxed food. So, that fix the food, fix the world, right? But I
well,
mean,
it's
that's the two things. It all comes down to the Fed in the end. We know that. But
yes.
before we could possibly end the Fed, get people shopping on the outside of the grocery store instead of down those middle aisles. And that would take care of a lot of the problems.
The corn subsidies were, I'm sure some of our listeners know, corn subsidies were like the number one thing we did when we went off the gold standard was starting to subsidize corn. And then now, of course, we have this entire economy of agriculture that is just completely unnecessary that would never be used otherwise. We export this crap to the rest of the world. We tried to make frickin' cars that used corn because we had so much of it because we subsidize it, and now you can't take the subsidies away because you're going to bankrupt the farmers, and then it's just an insane cycle of centralized control and fiat that is absolutely just maddening. But that being said, you know but what's so frustrating, you're saying we eat everything out of a box, and that's 100% right. I mean, the middle 90% of the grocery store is unusable. But you're selling your stuff in a bag. Uh, my wife loves the masa chips. That comes in a bag. It's beef tallow, ground corn, and salt. Like, there's a way to put stuff in a box, have it be shelf stable, or a bag, and have it be shelf stable that is not poisoning the rest of society.
Yes, but you couldn't sell it for 4 boxes for $1.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, those
So,
masa chips. there's like 22 chips and it's like 17 bucks a bag. So I mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, but that's why they subsidize the corn to hide all this stuff so you don't realize it. And to put all these preservatives and crap in there and just cut down the actual nutrients and quality of the food so much that you might as well be eating a sheet of paper at the end of the day with 90% of this stuff. So
Oh, absolutely. And then just scrape a little dog poop on there too, just to call it good. We went
yeah,
over to our friends, our neighbors, and had a board games night last night. And they have a deep fat fryer, or a deep fryer, I guess it would be.
nice. Yeah,
Um, and so we had a hunk of lean cod that we took over, and they had some potatoes and and then I'd gone hunting the other day, but and found it's called a bear's tooth mushroom,
yeah,
and it kind of
sure.
looks like a yeah. So we sliced that up too and deep fried that,
Nice, nice.
and the only reason I bring this up is because I've never had a deep fryer, and so I was asking them about the oil and how long it lasts and what kind of oil, and they're like, oh, it's canola oil, and you kind of go, and then realize how much it takes and how much it would actually cost to use beef tallow or to use olive oil. Even I mean, olive oil wouldn't work very well in there anyway, but a ghee or a tallow, and like, you can't do it. I mean, it would cost $70
Well, that's
each
why
time you used it.
that's Buffalo Wild Wings. They still deep fry their wings in beef tallow, and that's why they're so people are like, oh my gosh, the price is outrageous. Like, yeah, because they're cooking in beef tallow. They're not cooking in vegetable oil. Um, and well, to that point too, you get way fewer uses out of the tallow and the ghee as well. Like that canola oil, you can if you filter it and put it back in, I mean, you can use that stuff a lot of times. And I mean, it makes sense. It was designed
Well,
to
how far can
be,
you drive a car? Yeah, how
yeah,
far can you drive a
exactly.
car on your oil without
Exactly.
changing it?
I was just about to say it was designed to be engine lubricant, so it
It's
makes sense
crazy.
that I can get a ton of uses out of it and do that. But yeah, it doesn't taste as good. I went out. I basically stopped eating wings and chicken wings anywhere because it's all fried in vegetable oil, and you can taste it too. We went to a place we used to get wings from all the time, and they still are good wings. And we got some over the weekend, and I took one bite. I'm like, this is just deep fried in vegetable oil. It's unfortunate. I actually for like 3 years ago for the Super Bowl, I invited people over, and I did. I used Wagyu beef tallow, and I deep fried a bunch of chicken wings. I had like a propane burner, and did it on there, and they were incredible. But yeah, it cost me like $60 just for the tallow, and then it was to get enough of it to like cover the wings. Then I had to pay for the wings, and yeah, it was like at the end of the day, it's like $100 some dollars for one one like enough appetizer enough wing appetizers for everyone. It wasn't even like a proper meal. So
And people can't do that. This is the
no.
problem. I mean, the people don't understand. I mean, I use the term people. That's just a generalization of obviously of society. Most of society in general is that, for one, they don't understand the health detriment of these products, and for two, they can't afford, or they can't prioritize buying more quality products. And you have that, like you said, vegetable oil. Oh, this must be good.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a vegetable
vegetables in it.
oil, right? Like,
Mm.
or I remember Crisco. I don't know if that's still a thing too, but it's just
Oh,
like
it's
this.
it's still on the shelves.
What's that? That's vegetable shortening. So you're like, oh, this is
Yeah,
good for it. And you just look at it, and it's just it's just gross. So gross.
yeah. I know. It's Crisco is. It looks like hair product. Like
It looks like
Colgate.
white lithium grease that you'd put on your tractor, is what it looks like.
Also true. Yeah, something that should go on a tank tread, which is how
Yeah,
all of that stuff started. It was
absolutely.
4 tank treads in the war, and now we just consume it. So That should hopefully make
That's
people
so
pause a
crazy,
little
man.
bit.
How do you
Yeah.
get to this point? Like how, I mean, who are these sadistic people that can put this out in public? I mean, it's like
Meanwhile,
fluoride in
they're at home.
drinking water, right? Like just the
Yeah.
how.
At least with fluoride, I think there was some well intention. Like, hey, we're consuming so much sugar and corn syrup as a society that like we need to protect people's teeth. I think there's at least plausible deniability of like well
Right,
intentioned stuff.
right.
The rest of the stuff is just like, nah, we got a surplus. We need to make a bunch of money. How do we get the plebs to suck this down to make us profits? And I mean, I've talked about this a bunch, but there is just the next generations are just going to look back at us and be like, "Gosh, you guys were the most retarded generation. Like,
Yeah.
how did you allow this to happen? How did you not know this? Like, what what zombification state were you in that this all just happened on your watch and you kind of just marched along with it? Like, we're just not going to be looked upon fondly as a generation. I mean,
Yeah,
individuals. Yeah,
that's the thing too. I think every generation looks at the generation after them and like, wow, your music is terrible. Why are the bottoms of your pants so wide? You know, whatever, whatever it is that old people, back when I was your age. But it's the generations prior that are creating these people.
yep.
So, you can say Generation Z or I don't even know what they are now, but it I don't know when it started, but it seems to be I don't know, maybe when the U.S. started going into the wars, maybe World War I, and then it's the what is that? The hard times make strong men make easy times make weak men, and
Yeah, make hard
I don't.
times.
Yeah, are we just in that cycle? I guess. And
I mean, to
what do
your
we do, Brandon? What do we do?
well, to your point, I think it all comes back to the Federal Reserve, like you were talking about earlier. I don't think it's debatable that society fell off a cliff when we got a central bank, entered these wars. The 20th century saw more human carnage than any century in the history of the world. As far as we know about, to the extent our history is even real, that's a whole other rabbit hole we can talk about.
Yeah,
But um, uh, I mean, it's undeniable the death and destruction that took place at the hands of being able to create money, all the awful incentives we've talked about now. And I think what we're uh, doing podcasts, what we're doing at Sovereign, trying to help businesses get onto a better money, what you're doing, starting circular economies, selling high quality food for high quality money. And it's going to take unfortunately a long time, a lot longer than any of us want, but we just as individuals we have to make decisions because I rarely argue with people on Nostr. I just, those days are behind me. I'm too old, like
yeah,
it just exhausts me. Um, uh, but there was, someone harping on all this illegal immigration and the changing culture, and I just said to him, "You have no control over this, and you never will." Like, because you know who has control over it? A giant bureaucracy that you have no control over. And it doesn't matter how hard you vote, what lobbying effort, like none of it matters. Like the only thing you can really do at the end of the day is be an individual, opt out of all these control systems yourself, and then start helping other people to do that as well and trying to guide them on the path to getting out. And people will get out because we have truth on our side. And the reality is the fiat system, the institutions that have been created since 1913, it's all junk. It's all false. It's all bullshit. It's 100% false. every single news story is fake. There is no real news. Every single piece of news coming out is a narrative designed to get you to think a certain way. And like that's all going away. That's all going to die off. It's just going to be really slow. And the only way to do it is to act as an individual and get away from all those things and to listen to Bitcoin podcasts, to use Bitcoin as money, to use Nostr as your communication protocol, to educate your kids yourselves or send them to an institution you actually know what they're learning. Um, and so it just all is personal responsibility as you as an individual, as a parent. And I think that's the best we can do. And, I'm a believer in Christ, and so much of the Bible talks about not having fear, not trying to control the world, not trying to change things from a political or a government perspective, or even those in power. It's basically people are going to be evil, they're going to be terrible. It's on you to act as a person, an individual, in faith and walk through life like that and don't worry about the other stuff. And I think that parallels exactly what we're doing in Bitcoin. And I just think that's the only way to do it. I don't think there's another option. So.
No, I agree. It's a sphere of influence. People spend so much of their energy and their time, just you're farting against thunder, and you're trying to, like you said, trying to influence people, or thinking that your vote matters, or arguing with somebody about anything that you can't control. And so the idea of that sphere of influence is where you're focusing only on the area of your life that you can influence and have somewhat of control over. So that's just the people that the people you interact with. I mean, I guess Noster to an extent is could be considered that as well, because it is so small. And I mean, it's growing all the time, but it still feels like that small community. And I guess that's what I like about it as well. That is that just the whole curating your own feed and being your own algorithm. And if we could figure out ways to expand that out into the rest of our lives and take that mentality of, okay, this is what they want me to see, but this is what I want to see, and this is what I believe that the truth is, and the rest of it is all noise. The signal's over here, and the rest of it is just a bombardment of noise to buy the latest widget, get the latest shot, vote for the latest person, um, try to save your seat on the shuttle to Mars, or whatever it is that
Zuck's
people
bunker.
are. Yeah, exactly. How about you just let me into the seed bunker up there, and where's that, Switzerland or wherever it is that Bill Gates has all his seeds? Let me go to town on the heirloom seeds. So yeah, just to only focus on what you control, or spend most of your time focusing. I mean, if you want to yell at the clouds, that's fine. But if people just started to focus more on things that they can actually control, then we might get somewhere.
I couldn't agree more. And I mean, I look at myself as a perfect example. I was one of those people. I was all riled up and so angry about the culture. And listen, a lot of it is insane. I mean, it's completely absurd that transgendered people are reading books to our kids. Like, that's just objectively absurd. But at the end of the day, like, can I really do anything other than explain that to my kids? Why that's so insane, why they're trying to sexualize the youth, and just say, it's on you. Well, one, I wouldn't have my kids in there, but
There you go. That's the answer.
well, you're right. So I can either extract them from that system, or I can explain to them, when you see this lunacy, understand why it's lunacy, and be sort of a shepherd in that way. But to your point, those are things I can control. A school deciding to bring in some mentally addled psychopath to try to sexualize my kids. I kind of don't have control over that, and that gets into a whole other thing of public schools, and I know that's a touchy subject because the money is so debased that you can't even educate your kids anymore. You have to send them to school because there's no way to earn a living to just keep the lights on in your house. Um, Without sending them somewhere, and that's a friction point for a lot of people that I understand is difficult to confront and talk about. But the reality is, you are putting them in a situation where you are decreasing the likelihood that they come out a sane individual in their adult life. So, um,
You're outsourcing parenting when it
yes,
comes down to
exactly.
it. I mean,
Right.
the the word manipulation has carries a negative connotation with it, but isn't that what education is in general? Is I mean, figuring out a way to teach your kids something in a manner that they're going to understand it. So maybe not manipulation necessarily, but just that you're brainwashing kids, whether it's you doing it or the school doing it. And again, brainwashing in a way of teaching them the way that you want them to learn, things that you want them to learn, the morals, the habits. And if you send them to a place where they fight against you even be able to witness what's going on, like you can't, I don't know, you probably can't go to a public school and sit in to a classroom and see what they're
Gosh, no.
actually teaching the
Right.
kids. Um, and I had another point too, but now I'm all riled up about schooling.
I know that's another subject near and dear to my. I just had my first kid this year, and thankfully my wife's on board. We've just agreed that he is never going into a public school. So
Yeah, us too. I mean, he's in a lot of different programs, but we don't send him to school. He's got forest schools
nice,
and then, but that's it. With school, you're learning again in general. You're learning from someone who's been indoctrinated into a corrupt system. Teachers went to school through grade school, high school, university, and then come out, and do you expect them to not be part of the system? They're going to be a cog. They've been trained since first grade all the way up through teacher school. And of course, it's just going to be the same thing. People say, oh, the good teacher, da da da. But where did they get their education? They got their education, through mainstream education.
let's be honest, a lot of teachers are just lazy. They just don't want to work half the. I think they're down to working like less than half the year now. They get pensions that the taxpayer has to pay for. I mean, the whole system attracts sort of a generally uncurious, sort of lazy individual, anyways. And obviously, there's exceptions, and there's great teachers, and maybe I don't know if the number is 5% or 10% of teachers like actually take their job seriously and put a lot of effort and time into the class and kids. But 90% of the people attracted to that position just have a personality that lends itself to lethargy and sort of just a general lack of curiosity. Because here's to your point, like what were they brainwashed? Well, here's the curriculum. In first grade we learned this, and in second grade we learned that. And hey, we have a potential child prodigy in our class, and he's going to learn at the same level as the kid who's like drooling on his sweater and in the back. And so it's like the whole system just doesn't even make sense from a first principle standpoint, anyways. So. Well, it makes.
Or
Let me rephrase that. It makes perfect sense when viewed through the lens of the state trying to create docile, non-free thinking individuals to go work in a factory. So it does work from that standpoint. But in terms of what real learning should be, it makes absolutely no sense.
there's no rhetoric or logic. that's taught in schools anymore. And even when I was in school, I had one of the secondary educations that I went to was a community college down in Washington State, actually, and that was the first time that I'd been introduced to in rhetoric or logical fallacies, just using logic while communicating. It's just not it's not taught. I mean, that should be one of the first things that when a child starts to talk and understand words is how to realize when someone's full of shit and being able to counteract that or call them out on it, or at least filter out, like, okay, here's what they said. Does it make sense? What is wrong with it? Where are the issues with what they said? And then from there, you can nurture that into, okay, I'm watching, the ABC nightly news. Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. That's a straw man argument or whatever the case is. And we just don't have that logical thinking process of being able to understand why something is wrong. And so everyone just takes it at face value and then goes along. Like you said, it turns into just these worker drones that, I mean, it's amazing how many people you can look at and they just look like they're zombies wandering around
Oh,
society.
I lived that life for 19 years. I mean, amongst them all, it works. The system works. They are really good, as we talked about earlier. A lot of people are they're just comfortable with it, and I mean, it's sad. You get on here in Chicago, you get on the L in the morning, you just look around at everyone. They're just staring at their phones, just like and just expressionless faces. I mean, it's so depressing.
It is. And I'm not saying that I wasn't. I mean, I went
Oh, I was one
through,
of those people for sure. I mean,
absolutely. I went through public education. I mean, I grew up in the States. I'm an American by trade. Um, and absolutely, and I can look back at it and go, that was absolute nonsense. And then you add on to that, um, partying or going to bars, hanging out like that, and now that's just dripping out more of your life energy. That and it's almost promoted, like, oh, go to university, and it's not all about education, and just kind of pushing people into these vices, which also you're like, oh, I'm stressed out. I'm not going to actually try to figure out what the root of that stress is. I'm going to go smoke a cigarette or,
yeah,
whatever it is.
go go have a go have a highball or whatever. So,
Yeah.
well, I mean, along those lines too, that of sort of putting people in these situations that there I was a person who spent an inordinate amount of time watching sports, and same thing. It was just like I loved it because it was an escape from all that stuff we were doing, and it was like, oh, it is an escape from sort of the fiat rat race, but not now. I have something where I can actually be building stuff and being productive and doing things and not spending my time. And I don't actually need to escape anymore. There is no need for an escape to just go be distracted by bread and circuses because I'm doing stuff, I'm building relationships, I'm with my family, I'm with my community, and that escape isn't needed anymore.
Absolutely. And I was the same. I mean, I collected baseball cards when I was a kid, up to watching sports, and I stopped all. I stopped cold turkey, probably, I don't know, 5 years ago at least, maybe a little bit
I mean,
longer.
COVID made it impossible. COVID, BLM. I mean, it was just like the sports teams just turned into the mainstream media. It was impossible to watch. I've never forgiven them. I never will. I don't see unless they actually came out and were like, "Hey, we apologize for what we did. We tried to propagandize you. Come back and watch us." Until they actually did that, I'm never going back to give them any. I'll go to a game here and there, or maybe watch something at a bar once in a while, but I will never give them any sort of serious credence or time from my life again. So
No, it is such a time sink. I mean, I was playing fantasy football for a long time as well, and then I just realized, okay, I was telling myself this doesn't take much time, whatever. Like, it's only a couple hours a week or whatever it is, and then realize, okay,
you
well,
stop.
it's more than that, and what does this do? What's the point of this? And I think that I used sports as well. I enjoyed playing sports and I enjoyed watching sports, but I think that there was also that camaraderie part that brought me together with friends that maybe I wouldn't necessarily be friends with. We needed some sort of glue, and maybe that was part of the glue. And then eventually kind of realize I need to be more selective, perhaps, with the friends that I have, and maybe run a prune node instead of a full node, and kind of just re recenter myself, figure out that circle of influence, that sphere of influence, and yeah, just cut off the parts of life that are completely unnecessary, because watching a football game is fun and entertaining and whatever it is, but what are you actually learning? Are you growing as an individual? I guess if you want to be a coach, or you're watching somebody's swing in baseball and analyzing the kinetics of it. But other than that, it just, to me, it feels like a time sink anymore when doing or watching something like that, or listening to something that is basically talking about current events from the standpoint of mainstream media. All of that stuff, all of it is just anything that's main. It's not, if it's on TV, then there's a good chance that it's just a time sink, and it's probably making you dumber and like speeding up your time to death.
I would say about 95%. That's probably accurate.
Mm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah.
Good.
Um, so all right, but before we wrap here, I want to talk a little bit about your business. You talked about it, so you're starting to grow your own trees and or grow your own trees, plant your own trees and grow your own fruit, uh, that sort of thing. Any other plans for? I saw you have like a salve on the website as well, or a
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a comfrey salve. I've been making that for a few years now,
Is it
and
salve or salve?
yeah, I call it salve because I got made fun of when I called it salve.
Is it? Is
I
that
mean,
wrong? Have I been saying this wrong my whole life?
who knows, man? I'm up in
Is this a
Canada.
French word?
They talk
Yeah,
funny up here.
yeah, yeah.
I know it's salve. Like it says it. But
So it's
yeah,
right. It's solve with an O. So this
I,
should be salve, right?
exactly.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, like I said, I got made fun of when I said salve, so I just switched it over because I'm very manipulable. Um, yeah, so that, I mean, comfrey is an incredible plant and probably one of my favorite plants, as far as the medicinal qualities of it. So I would definitely like to do more things like that, medicinal teas, and just other things that I grow here, like all the comfrey I grow here, and then I've got quite a few herbs and things like that to make herbal teas. And so yeah, as far as expanding product line, I'll definitely be testing out some things. So
So,
it's also a matter of, I don't know, it kind of comes back to that shipping and what I can ship to the States, because with the Canada Post strike, I had no problem shipping freeze dried food through Canada Post, and then I guess they handed off to U.S. Post, um, probably at the border. I don't think they go through UPS or anything after it crosses the border. But then there's like UPS won't ship food across. Um, and there was a couple other DHL, I think, and a couple other shipping companies that won't ship any food across the border. And so I don't know, it's kind of that dance of creating this medicinal salve and uh what's that going to be? I don't know. I'm going to push the envelope. I mean, it's kind of that running with scissors, and I love running with scissors. Right, just get the sharpest pair of scissors you can, and just go for it. And
Start
then,
sprinting.
yeah, I mean, you might poke out an eye, but you also might figure out a way to slice a or cut a slice through the time warp continuum, and jettison yourself into the future and be a pioneer in something. But yeah, I want to use as many healing modalities as possible, and try to contribute that to the Bitcoin society in general.
So yeah, I look forward to all these products. I just love that people are doing this and putting their stuff up here and expanding their offerings and what people want. So it's so cool. So
And it's so
of
friendly. It's so friendly too. Like all the if in in a corporate sense, I would imagine that all the big players, I'm sure that they can fight in public as much as they want, but when it comes down to it, Elon and Zuckerberg are hugging it out and having a couple drinks together on their, I don't know, the surfboards
in
in
Sunny
Hawaii.
Lounge.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Whereas with everyone that is selling on Nostr for Bitcoin, I mean, it's a family. It really truly is. And that everyone is supportive of each other, and will boost notes and send zaps and just promote each other as well.
So that's something I was listening to the Once Bitten podcast, and Daniel Prince was on there, and he's brought it up a couple times, talking about he found a local rancher that he buys some beef from, and he feels dirty about paying for it in fiat, because it's like you put all this work in, you spent a year cultivate, sometimes years cultivating this cow, and now you're giving it to me, and I'm giving you a debt discharging instrument, a piece of paper. And it doesn't feel right. It's like someone put in the work, someone put in the value. I want to pay you in real money. I don't want to pay you in these paper slips that mean absolutely nothing. Like the people on Nostr are names and faces of individuals or small companies who are like putting the time in, who are putting their work in, and I want to pay them in Bitcoin. I don't want to pay them, as Daniel Prince said, in a debt discharging instrument. It doesn't feel good. Like it's almost like I pulled one over on you. Like I got you to take this worthless paper, and then you gave me something you spent your time and energy on. There
Kind of
is
like
like a
a
moral aspect to it.
Absolutely, and it's almost like a car salesman. Where you go in and you spend. Jesus, well, I don't even know what a car. I drive a 2012 Subaru, so I don't know what a car even costs now. But it's once you buy it and you drive it off the lot, it's 40% less value than what you just paid for it as soon as you drive it off the lot. And it's kind of like that with the fiat. You give somebody $100 bill, by the time it goes from your hand to their hand, it's already worth less
Yeah,
than when you gave it to them.
it's constantly being debased, and uh it's yeah, you're anytime you're holding dollars, it's becoming worth less and less and less, and that's just it's buying you less goods and services every second that goes by. So um by the way, have you do you know who Rev. Hodl is on Nostr?
Yeah, I don't know him personally,
You
but
should
definitely
you should connect with him. He does a lot of permaculture, and he does a lot of stuff with teas as well. He does the nettle tea. I forget exactly what it's called, but he does a
got some
lot of that
nettle.
stuff. Yeah, okay. You should
Got
talk
some
to. I
nettle.
mean, you guys would be very simpatico, for sure.
Nice.
You should definitely reach out to him.
Cool.
Yeah, or
Yeah, that's one thing that that we have no shortage of here is stinging nettle.
yeah. I think that's what it is. Stinging nettle. I think that's what it's called.
Absolutely.
I couldn't
Yeah.
remember the adjective. So
Yeah,
um,
I've got a ton of that I freeze dried in the spring that I need to figure out a way to disseminate.
nice. He swears by it. He said if he's feeling a little under the weather or something, he'll brew some of that up, and he's like, I feel like a new person, like right after drinking it. So
Yeah, it's another one of those kind of I mean, there was I think it was was it Joel Salatin? One a permaculture um god deity and or no, maybe it was Bill Mollison who actually coined permaculture and kind of founded the concept of it, or one of the founders. Said that all the world's problems could be solved in a garden, and that's
yeah.
where the comfrey and the nettle and these things that are actually healthy, right? And you don't need to get a vitamin out of a pill. It's there, right? You can eat the apple, eat the orange, drink the nettle tea, eat the nettle, take use
Go
the
be in the
comfort. We use
sun. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Touch the grass with your feet. Um but we used to use Neosporin, with on our kid. The kids and ourselves, right? You get scrapes, you get cuts, you get bruises, you get infections. And so it used to be Neosporin or polysporin, and now we use the comfrey salve for everything. And I mean, at night, I'll sit down and start reading him a book, and after a shower, and then just hand him a tin of the comfrey, and he just slathers it over his whole body, over everything, and it's
that's why
great.
it's out of stock on your website because your
Yeah,
son's
yeah,
taking all the
yeah,
inventory. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I was experimenting as well because I've apparently the fat that is closest to human is leaf lard from pig,
That
and
makes
that's
sense.
the yeah, that's the as far as I understand, that's the fat around the organs, um, in the pig. And so I've got a few of those because I we bought a pig, and so I rendered down the leaf lard and created a um some comfrey salve with the leaf lard, and so he's been using that, and I like it, but it smells like bacon, which isn't which isn't horrible, but it's just
Well,
probably not.
up where you're at, you're gonna have to watch out for the bears. You're gonna be like a walking treat for those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we've got
Yeah,
bears that come through our property. There's so
yeah.
many bears here. It's
Walking around
incredible.
smelling like bacon. That's not a good
Yeah,
plan. Yeah,
there's a lot of cougars here too, and that's even
yeah.
a bear.
Well,
Like I see a bear, like okay, that's okay. I'm not too worried about the bears. The cougars are the ones that
sneak up on you.
yeah, they do, man, and they're just silent. It's unbelievable how such a big animal could be silent.
Have you heard of Faro Farms? Faroe.
Perhaps,
They
yeah. What?
they make a lot of like skin products out of leaf lard,
Oh, nice.
and I take that stuff on my fishing trips. And I don't know if you're a fisherman at all, but
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, when you're dipping your hands in the water, you're getting pricked by the flies or by the hooks, and like your hands just get so beat up and so dry. I put that stuff on every night. I wake up in the morning, my hands are like brand new. Like it's crazy, like
Nice.
how effective that stuff is. So I'm a big believer and all of that. I got everyone that came on the trip this year with me. I gave it to them. I just kind of left it on the table at night, and would catch them at the end of the day. Wait, oh yeah, yeah, that works pretty well.
How
Thanks.
does that
So
smell?
that's actually really good. I'm not sure. I shouldn't say really good. It's just nothing. Like there's no
Yeah.
scent. Um, so I'm not sure it's processed, but it's like three ingredients. It's like leaf lard, water, and maybe one other thing. I forget.
Because I've
But
been experimenting
yeah,
with that as well with the comfrey salve because that is only um, what I use is extra virgin organic extra virgin olive oil, freeze dried comfrey leaves, and beeswax, and those are the
nice.
only ingredients in there. And so I've done a little bit with rose petal and just trying to get fragrances in.
Yeah,
But when it comes down to it, it's kind of just those three, right?
yeah.
Just the three ingredients, and it's really good. So
I've been known on some really dry winter days to just put a hit of olive oil into my hands and rub it around. So it works.
nice,
Yeah,
nice.
it's expensive hand cream, but it works. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you had a was it a pike? You said
Uh, what?
didn't you have a picture of a pike or a?
Oh no, that was a king salmon.
Oh, you had a king salmon.
Yeah, king
Didn't you have
salmon.
a? Oh, maybe it was somebody else on
I had
Nostr.
a
I thought
I had a brown trout I posted as well.
that's right. Okay, yeah, that was a
Yeah.
beautiful fish.
Yeah, oh gosh, brown. Few fish prettier than the brown trout. So
Where did you get a king? Are they in the Great Lakes or where?
they're up in the Paramarquette River in Michigan. Um,
Okay, wow.
so it feeds it. Lake Michigan feeds into the Paramarquette, and they come in from there. They make their run. It's basically the last run they do. They spawn and then they die. And so like you're kind of catching them at the end of their lifespan. They come in these rivers to spawn, and that's kind of the end of their life. So
Yeah, well, that's the yeah. I caught one earlier this year too, which was my first one. They're up here. They're called Chinook or
yeah,
spring salmon or tai if you get a big enough one. But yeah, that was fun.
yeah, that's coming up to like Alaska or Canada to do a salmon trip. That's on my bucket list. So I'm gonna have to do that
Okay,
one of
well,
these days.
if you end up this way, hit me up.
Yeah, absolutely will do.
Go.
Well, Josh, coming up on like an hour and a half here. I really appreciate your time today. And Sats for snacks, the number 4.com is the website. If people want to go there, you can check out the products. He has some mixed packs, some peaches, some mangoes, some bananas, all freeze dried good stuff there that he's selling for Sats. So please go there and check him out. Uh, where else do you want to send people, Josh? I know your at Sats for Snacks business account is on Nostr. I don't know if you have a personal account or.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Permanerd on Noster
Oh,
is
you're
also
perma
me.
nerd. I didn't even. That's
Yeah,
good this whole time. You're per.
yeah,
Okay, I didn't even realize that. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah. So yeah, that's been an interesting. Like, I thought that maybe it made sense to create a business one as well, and so it's I don't know, it's kind of a bit roundabout. I don't know if
No,
I
I
should have
think it's
done
a
that.
great. I mean, listen, that's I saw Oshi reposted your business one, and I was. I mean, if to be honest with you, I probably would have had a like probably had a harder time deciphering out exactly what you were doing, but it was like boom, this is the business. It was very clear to me, um, what you were doing. So I would say
Cool.
it already worked on me. So
All right, I've got a question for you then before we go.
yeah.
Um, Sats for snacks. I'm thinking about switching it over to snacks for Sats, and I've thought about it way too much, but it just seems to make more sense.
Well, I it all depends on which side of the equation you're on, right? Like if I'm the
Yep.
customer, I'm giving sats for the snacks, but you as the business owner are giving snacks for sats. So the question is, whose viewpoint do you want to take?
But imagine the customer, because what I was thinking is that you're getting snacks for Sats, so
You're
it's
getting, but you're giving sats for snacks. So I guess it's all all depends on the framing. I would, yeah, I'm not. There's definitely not a right answer here. I
Well,
would
if
probably,
anybody
yeah.
hit me up on Nostr.
Maybe there's some linguist who knows the right way to do
Yeah,
this,
exactly.
or
Yeah.
some sort of proper grammar that would lend itself to one or the other. But I like it. I think it's good.
Okay, cool.
And also you hit people with the Bitcoin part right away. It's like
Mm,
Sats for snacks. So it's like the thing that comes through first is Bitcoin. So the first thing that hits
cool.
your mind is like Bitcoin. It's like, okay, now I know I'm in the Bitcoin economy, and then it's like, okay, now what's being sold. So maybe I would say
Because
keep it that way. Yeah.
it is for me. Like I'm not a business. I don't think I'm a business oriented person necessarily. So it's new to me for all of this stuff to try to naming things and just the I guess marketing in a way.
Yeah,
So
for
I'm
sure. I
stumbling
mean,
through.
yeah, we'll have to get Don Draper on this and see what he would do.
Nice,
Yeah.
cool.
All right. Well, Josh, it's been great chatting with you. That's Permanerd and Sats 4 Snacks on Nostr. And again, Sats 4 Snacks, the number 4.com is the website. And Josh, I really appreciate your time today. Great getting to know you. Great chatting about all sorts of things. And I wish you the best of luck here. The product looks great. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be done with this interview and tell my wife about it. She's immediately gonna want to order some. So you should have
Cool.
a new customer here before too long.
Right on. Yeah, it was great. I appreciate the invite and yeah, it was fun, man.
Of course. All right. Thanks, everyone.